What's up, everyone? It's Karthik with MoneyVest. Welcome on board for our market open live stream. Jerome Powell was talking for introductory remarks earlier today. So this right here is the live stream that is currently going on right now. I'm going to play the clip. This is, again, Community Bank Conference, October 9, 2025. This is indeed going on live at the moment. So we're just gonna play the Jerome Powell's piece here, which was just an introduction, lasted about a couple of minutes. We're gonna listen in very quickly, and then of course get back to the market here. So just let me know if the audio and the video, of course, is good. So
we ask that you please keep your security name tag on all day long, with of course the exception of panelists up on stage. You can take it off for that. If you need to step out of the building, or you need a quiet place for a phone call, or you have any other questions, please see one of the board employees sitting right outside the door here at the desk. We are now going to begin our conference with welcoming remarks from the Chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell.
Good morning, and welcome to the Federal Reserve Board. I'm sorry that I'm traveling today and could not be with you. Thank you to Vice Chair for Supervision, Mickey Bowman, for hosting this conference. Thank you also to all the board staff that made this event possible. Community banks play a vital role in the U.S. financial system because they have strong links to the people and businesses they serve and direct knowledge of local economic conditions. These close ties allow community bankers to better understand their customers and the ensuing products and services for those they serve. I saw this clearly when I led the board's Community and Regional Banks Subcommittee as a governor. I have also seen the critical role of community banks in the communities where I've lived, including as a community bank customer. Today's event is a helpful opportunity for Fed leaders to hear from community bankers and learn more about the issues you face. We're committed to understanding these issues, and we have long been committed to tailoring our supervisory practices as appropriate for community banks to reduce unnecessary burden, while still ensuring that community banks continue to operate in a safe and sound manner. Thank you so much for being here today to share your knowledge and experience, and thanks for being such a vital part of the communities that you serve.
By giving smaller banks at least the option to benefit from these reduced requirements.
So Scott Bessent is talking right now. Obviously, we can listen in from time to time. But the earnings season is in full swing. Of course, this week we didn't really have much. We only had Pepsi and Delta report earnings earlier. Pepsi 23.9, actually, just a little bit shy of $24 billion worth of revenues coming in, with a beat on EPS about at $2.29. And Delta also reporting pre-market here, $16.6 billion of revenue, about $1.71 in earnings per share. So if you come over to Delta right now, pre-market, we are seeing Delta up over 7.4%. It's trading back up to $61. And then if you take a look at Pepsi right now, it is essentially flat, just up close to 1%. So as we kind of wrap up the earnings for this week, it's really next week when we are getting a full-blown beginning of the earnings season, with a lot of companies. Of course, almost the entire market is going to be reporting over the next several weeks here. About 4 to 6 weeks the earnings season is going to last. But starting with Walgreens, we got JP Morgan, a lot of banks, a lot of financial institutions that are going to be coming out with their earnings. We got Johnson & Johnson, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Domino's. Then we've got Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Discover, Charles Schwab, Interactive Brokers. Interactive Brokers is also part of the shopping list here. Then we've got companies like BNY Mellon, United Airlines. We got PNC Bank, just all of them. Ally Financial, American Express, Trust Financial, all of these companies. And of course, towards the end of October is when we have all of the big giants. You got Netflix, Tesla, Amazon. You've got Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta Platforms. All of these companies reporting towards the end of October. So it's gonna get quite interesting here very, very soon. And also we do have the Federal Reserve meeting towards the end of October as well. So we've got the CPI, PPI numbers coming out next week, and then the following week is when we have the Federal Reserve meeting. So that's going to take place on October 29th, I believe. Yeah, so October 29th is when we've got the Federal Reserve interest rate decision, which most likely right now is going to be a potential rate cut of 25 basis points. And of course, the press conference on that day as well. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Hope you all are doing great. If the audio video is good, just give me a thumbs up, and we are good to go here. The Money Invest Index, of course, sits in optimism at 3.7. And, of course, the NASDAQ 100 specific Money Invest Index sits at 3.6, 3.65, which obviously is in optimism here in the market. Nvidia is pushing higher to $192 pre-market as the U.S. has approved billions in Nvidia chip exports to the UAE, including a deal for 500,000 AI chips annually starting in 2025, aiding to the data center construction. One thing I can tell you is when Trump did visit the UAE, and of course Qatar and Saudi Arabia, and the UAE in general have a D33 agenda here, which they are planning to become one of the global hubs of data centers, which is a pretty big deal. So the UAE is working hard to have a very, very growth-oriented and growth initiatives around artificial intelligence, data centers, electric vehicles, crypto, very, very pro-crypto policies here in the UAE. And of course, data centers and artificial intelligence are no different. And so as a result, they are going to be buying a lot from Nvidia and even from Advanced Micro Devices. I think so. This is a very, very strong catalyst for long-term growth for Nvidia. And I think the 2% jump that we're seeing pre-market does not do justice to how big this deal could really become. Because obviously we know that there's a huge shortage of supply for compute, for data centers, and the UAE is going to be growing aggressive on this measure. So I think that's going to be even better for Nvidia over the long term. Could potentially get it up to almost $200. It really wants to get up there. And right now, pre-market, we're getting up to a new all-time high of 192.74 at the moment. NASDAQ is flat. S&P is flat. Tesla is slightly down about 1.3%. Some catalyst that it's going into under investigation. Launched a probe into its full self-driving, citing safety issues. That's going to continue to go on. It's not going to keep the stock down for long. As we know, Tesla is one of those companies that's been hit hard left and right over the last several years from a lot of media catalysts and just it's been through the ringer, right? It's been through the ringer, it's been through the worst, but nothing can keep it down. Nothing can keep it down. Eventually the truth does come out, and the truth is that Tesla is building something absolutely incredible over the long term, and as a result, I could easily see it well over $500 very, very soon. Hopefully not before the end of this year, because I do have the $500 call. Okay, are we not watching the bank's speech here? So, I mean, this right here is the Community Bank Conference. If you want to listen to Stock Besant talk, Jerome Powell is traveling. As I said, it was going to be an introductory remark for like a couple minutes. I already mentioned that earlier in the week. It wasn't going to be a big deal anyway. I will share the link. Feel free to listen in, but I don't think it's going to be as relevant to the market at all. So unless everybody wants to listen in, so we can do a very quick poll because it is going on right now. It is a live conference, but we can either use this time to analyze some stocks and look at the options chain and what to trade, or we can use this time to listen in to Stock Besant on this bank conference. So do you want to listen to the banking conference? So let's just do that poll. And again, we're just going to go with the majority. Hopefully it's not going to be 50-50, but definitely participate in the poll here. So can we actually head to 300 on Nvidia? Because my God, 300 is going to be quite tough. It's going to be a 50% gain, more than a 50% gain from where we are right now. And so is it possible? Yes. How probable is it? Very, very low probability, especially in the next, I would say, 12 to 24 months. I think it's going to take something substantial in terms of its demand for its orders and multiple different verticals that Nvidia needs to essentially accomplish from a business perspective in order for it to gain over 56% and get the valuation up to almost $7 trillion. That would be insane. So yeah, I think it's going to be a while before Nvidia gets up to that number. So yeah, 7.5 trillion would be pretty crazy. Okay, so just quick poll here: 78% no, 22% yes. So again, we're gonna probably skip on the community conference. I'll share the link and in Discord, and people can watch that at their own time. But I think we can use this time to kind of look at individual stocks and go over some potential ideas. So I did sell a put on iron yesterday, which is most likely going to be up a lot today. It's up another 3% pre-market. I'm very tempted to just do a buy right. Premiums are very juicy for iron. So this is one stock that I'm kind of considering that, okay, selling a put is good. You can actually make some decent premiums, but, essentially looking at a buy right is going to be even better because capital appreciation is what's going to make a lot of that upside. So yeah, I did sell a put, like I said, at $58 strike. That was a strike for yesterday. It briefly got in the money and then obviously closed well over $60 and pre-market's getting up to almost 62. It is incredibly overbought, right? So that's one of the things that does scare me a little bit from a buy right perspective is that it's incredibly overbought. It's stretched to the upside. So this is a stock that's definitely on my watch list. It's on my radar. I'm trading cautiously, but yeah, it's just when the opportunity strikes is when I would be a lot more aggressive versus right now. And I did a video towards the end of September. The stock is up 58% just in the last few weeks here. It's insane what that momentum is for iron. From July, the stock is up. From August 1st, the stock's up 325%. From the beginning of September, literally 1 month, the stock has more than doubled, 146%. Insane. Today is October 9th. If you take a look at the performance in September 8th, which is just over a month, literally a month, the stock's up 146%. I mean, this is absolutely madness, how much the stock is up. And of course, a lot of other stocks in our hot watch list, like BITX, for example, pre-market, it is rotating back higher. We did see some buyers step in as crypto is also recovering a little bit. It's back up to over 123,000, a really, really massive wick to the downside. We're seeing some buyers step back in, and as a result, BITX and I think even BMNR is positive, just down about 1% pre-market. It was trading down to as low as $56, $57. Of course, buyers stepping back up to $59 here, closed right on 60 yesterday. So we'll see if you actually take out $60 once again, but we are coming up to this huge resistance for BMNR and for crypto in general, right? I mean, there's a lot of resistance here for Bitcoin that we are struggling to break out of. So this is going to be an area of resistance. We've gotten rejected here 3 times. So it's a triple top for Bitcoin, around $122,000 to $125,000. And for Ether is also the same thing. It's in fact, I think got a quadruple top here. So not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times Ethereum has gotten rejected around these levels here. So actually, if you go back a little bit further, from back in 2021 at 4,800 has also been a pretty strong resistance for Ether. And that's exactly where we are getting rejected quite a few times. And so it's actually made for a pretty strong swing trade. Because it's come down to that support around the $4,000 mark, gets bought up fairly quickly, and a resistance stays put at 4,900 for Ether. So yeah, BITX still part of the trade here. I'm planning on adding more for BITX as well. Okay, AMD at $1 trillion right now, around $400 a share. Who thinks we're getting there before Nvidia hits 300? I do. I think AMD is going to be at $1 trillion. Before Nvidia gets to $7.5 trillion, because AMD has definitely got more growth potential, just from a numbers perspective, right? As numbers get bigger and bigger, it becomes more and more challenging to grow. And, that's one of the best things about our community is that we have these lively discussions. We have these amazing, interesting discussions and debates about different stocks and ideas in different markets and how to make more money and how to maximize our returns. And Nvidia is what they're doing now is they're having a problem with having too much cash, too much money, and so they're now taking smaller stakes in other companies. And that's what Jensen Huang also mentioned with his interview on CNBC, that we make good investments because we're smart. And that's what they're doing, taking stakes in CoreWeave, taking stakes in OpenAI. And as a result, I think that's really what that next growth is going to be for Nvidia, is not on the back of the main core business that they have, but also on the back of the equity stakes that they have in other companies and other businesses and other ideas that they're funding. because that's really what you can only grow a business so much, right? I mean, unless Nvidia taps into some other verticals, high margin verticals, that can help them generate more revenue and more growth, there is a tipping point to all of this, right? So how much compute do we really need, and does it go on indefinitely, or is there a limit to how much a company can grow over the long term? I mean, at first I thought that Amazon was going to be the first company ever to get to $1 trillion in revenue, and it still might be the company that gets there, because if you take a look at the expectations from for Amazon, we're looking at that's the EPS right here. So if you take a look at the revenue, $708 billion is what they're expected to do this year, and then get up to 782, get up to 864, and then just shy of $1 trillion in revenue by 2028. But if you take a look at Nvidia, obviously it's nowhere near close to it right now, but it's scaling quickly. By 2028, we're looking at $350 billion. And, for all we know, there's a lot of parabolic growth. There's a lot of exponential growth. And even Jensen Huang himself yesterday mentioned that the demand for Blackwell is really, really high. And they have seen substantial demand over the last 6 months. And so for all we know, they could see a very parabolic growth here in terms of revenue. But this company has scaled like no other. It's scaled like no other. Even their revenue profile looks incredibly parabolic. So if you go over to Nvidia, if you go over to fundamental analysis, we're just going to plot the revenues for the last 7 years and just take a look at that. I mean, monstrous chart. This is just unbelievable. Even if you take a look at the gross profit, just look at this. It's not even linear. It's just parabolic. It's exponential. And so that's why this has been such a momentum stock, and of course staggering returns on the back of incredible growth. So is $7.5 trillion possible? Yes, anything is possible. But it would take time, I would say. All right, so yeah, that's that. Can you please look at PLX, Martin? So let's take a look at PLX. What is that stock here? Biotherapeutics. Oh, it's like whatever I'm going to pull up is going to look like this. So let's just say whatever stock you want me to analyze, unless I say otherwise, it is overbought. It is stretched to the upside. It's trading on momentum. Little to no revenues or profit. Let me check the fundamentals. Okay, so it's profitable, a little bit profitable, but a bit more fluctuating on the revenues and earnings side. But yes, unless I say otherwise, just know that whatever stock you're asking is going to be overbought, overextended, stretched to the upside, trading on a lot of momentum, unless I say otherwise. So yeah, so that's what it is. This stock is the same. 4 or 5 weeks of straight gains here, coming from $1.50 up over 74%, and the next resistance is going to be closer to $2.75 to as much as $3. So that 25-cent range inside this red rectangle is where that resistance is going to be for this company. All right, so do you have any metal miner stocks on your radar? Not at the moment. So I know there's a lot of gold and silver mining companies that are doing incredibly well. Let me see if I have a... Yeah, no, I don't have... I used to have a watch list for miners. Not right now. If I go to ETS, fundamental high conviction, defense, core, cryptos, currencies, bonds, China. Yeah, no, I don't have that right now. But yes, gold and silver, I'm very bullish on, very optimistic over the long term. Grab, let's take a look before I get to Kevin and Dave and what they're talking about. They're always picking on each other and everybody else. Support level for Grab is going to stay put at 570. So we're seeing obviously a lot of consolidation sideways, and we got a breakout. And so that's going to be that support at 570 all the way down to 430 for Grab as well. So on the monthly time frame, obviously we got a very, very nice ascending triangle breakout. This was also something similar where it was consolidating sideways before finally breaking out. And now we do have a lot of runway. there's not a lot of resistance until $10. On the weekly time frame, again, you could argue maybe there is a little bit of resistance here around the 660 to 675 mark. But beyond that, I mean, it's really $10 where the runway is taking us for grab. Okay, sounds kind of degen to me. Kevin says, I don't even want to look at iron. The FOMO is too intense. I know. It's absolutely wild. But it is a money-making stock. It's up more than 140% in the last month, more than 300% since August, 60% literally in a couple weeks. So, man, gotta trade the momentum, right? Gotta trade the trend. So, do you think Bitcoin will hit 200K end of the year? Tom Lee keeps bringing it up. So, I think it's obviously possible, for Bitcoin. And it's hard to make a very time-constrained prediction because nobody really knows, right, what's going to happen in that time frame. But it's a lot easier to have an understanding of what's going to happen, let's say, 3, 5, 7, 10 years out, rather than what's going to happen week to week or month to month or even within the year. And so as a result, I think resistance is going to be closer to 124,000. I have exposure in Bitcoin through BITX. I will continue to dollar cost average into that, and that's going to be my Bitcoin play for the long term. So look at SMCI, Broadcom. We'll take a look at as well. Too much money. That's why I sold all my Nvidia leaps and bought all AMD leaps back when AMD was at 170. Thank you so much for all your videos, Gary. That's incredible. That's amazing. Congrats on the AMD leaps here. The market is getting to a point where it's shaky, but you're doing great. Thank you for that. I agree. We will see 1 trillion AMD before 7.5 trillion for Nvidia. Both have been amazing to watch and even better to take part in. I agree. I think semiconductors have been just ripping. And, obviously we had the SOXL trade, which, I exited way too early in the 20s. Could have made another 100%. Or 78 to 80%. But of course, we did take part in SMH. SMH is now sitting at an all-time high, 346. This thing is up over 100% since April. So from its lows on April 7th, it is up over 106%. So SMH doing very, very well. Let's take a look. A few more companies here that we got to go over. Tom Lee prediction, 60,000 for Ethereum. I saw that as well. Do you think Tesla is at a good valuation right now? I think it's expensive, so just be careful. If you're just getting started with a position, I think there's better opportunities right now, to be honest. Unless, of course, you wait for a little bit of a dip or a correction, and then you can start. For me, Tesla is on a multi-decade cycle. It's not really a stock that's going to win year to year. It's going to be incredibly volatile. It's going to fluctuate all over the place. Year to date, it's barely outperforming the S&P 500, but this really is a stock where it's going to be a multi-decade opportunity. Where as they're executing, as more and more things materialize with regards to autonomous driving, full self-driving, robotics, energy, electric vehicles, now even involvement with XAI, this is a company that, on a physical AI basis and just solving some of the most complex problems. And, yes, with robotics, there's always going to be that pushback. With full self-driving, there's always going to be those challenges. But if they're able to execute well, they are sitting on one of the greatest opportunities. So the TAM is really, really big. The total addressable market is big. The execution is what really we need to figure out, is that can Elon deliver? And so far he has. So, there's, in my opinion, more to come for Tesla over the long term. And this could just very well be the beginning. And oftentimes we look at stocks and we think, it's already up 100%, it's already up 500%, it's already up 1,000%. Well, if you look at companies' lifetime gains for companies like Amazon or Nvidia or Tesla, they're not up 500,000%. They're up hundreds of thousands of percents, right? So hundreds of thousands. For Amazon, from back in the dot-com bubble, like 20 years, Let's take a look at that return here for Amazon from back in 1997, for example. From like literally pennies, this thing is up like 335,000%, right? Even if you just consider from 2001, so like 25-year return, 76,000, right? That's the value creation for a lot of these companies. Like, because I saw somebody comment the other day, like, oh, iron, like up 500%, we already missed the move. Well, think in terms of decades, not in terms of like months and years. Nvidia is up like 673%, right? 673,000%, not 673. From 2013, in just 12 years, this thing is up like 78,000%. So, and oftentimes when in doubt, zoom out, because you'll get a much better, much clearer idea of how great these wealth compounders are, and you don't want to cut short on your long-term positions. Trading is fine. Trading is okay. You want to buy, you want to sell, you want to take profit off the table. But long-term, let the winners compound in their own success. Let them do what they do best. Because if you cut too short, then you don't let a 2x, 5x turn into a 10x or 15x or a 20x or more. And that, I think, is really, really important. Okay, just going to go over some stocks here for Jack. Thoughts on iron or ZS. So again, iron I did a video on recently. I think it's a fantastic business, being at the right time at the right place. It is extremely overbought, obviously, so just be very careful on the technicals, Jack, here. Look at the RSI, 92. So is the MACD, so is the RSI. Everything just very, very parabolic, and I am very cautious and careful. I'm most likely going to close out my put today, depending on how much it's up, and then I'm going to just be a little bit patient with the stock. Zscaler is a part of the shopping list, so getting a nice little bounce back higher from 265 back up to over 17%, back up to 313, 314. Support level is going to stay up right about here at $260, and valuation is a bit expensive, but that is going to be that resistance now at 318, 319 for Zscaler. Adobe, we'll take a look at Palantir, SoFi. A lot of these stocks we cover in our daily market update, so I would definitely encourage you to check out the daily market update, because we do go over those quite a bit. Even SoFi and BMNR, we cover these in our fan favorite videos. Just to save our time, just to not go over the same companies over and over again. But I'll come back and go over some new ones, companies that we haven't talked about. APLD also, I feel like we have talked about in the past. Applied Digital, this is the overall uptrend, higher highs and higher lows, and support level is going to stay roughly down at $17.90 to as much as $18, and resistance all the way to exactly where we're sitting right now, around $27, $28. I think it's come up to its resistance now. It's incredibly overbought as well. As I said, every stock that I'm going over, consider it overbought unless I state otherwise, for every company. Can we look at Bitfarms? Yes, James, we'll take a look at that. DVLT as well. So let's take a look at this. I think we've covered that before. Data Vault, yes. Couple months or couple weeks of strong momentum here, 442 million in terms of market cap. I would be very careful with this one, because it's a really small penny stock. It's a micro cap, and you've got no revenues and little massive losses. So this, again, is just pure momentum, pure speculation. I would stay away long term, of course, but momentum you can trade. Just be careful with your risk management. Let's take a look at, Bitfarms. Also has been on a parabolic run up. What is going on in this market? It's just everything. Everything. I mean, if you do I really want to see something. So we're just going to do this. FinViz. We're going to go on this. We're going to go over to Screener. And I'm just going to go over to all. And I'm going to do, let's do NASDAQ. Okay. So NASDAQ right now, we've got 4,400 stocks. Okay. So there's 4,400 stocks listed on the NASDAQ right now. I'm just going to come over to performance. All right, so performance we're going to do, it's up on the month. Let's try that. Okay, so we've got 2,564 stocks that are currently up on the month of October. So 2564 divided by 4,400. So that's almost 60%. 60% of stocks that are up in the month of October. Now let's do stocks that are up for the quarter. And we've got 2,570. That is actually a pretty big deal also, because 2,570 divided by 4,400, and we're looking at 58.4%. That's also pretty solid. But if you look at, let's say, month over 20%, let's try that. We're at 752 stocks. 752 divided by 4,400, it's about 17%. 17% of the NASDAQ is up more than 20% in the last 1 month. Let's do week. Let's do week, 20%. And we got 219. 219. I really want to do, let's say, year to date. Year to date positive. Year to date up. And we've got 2468 divided by 4,400. So 56% of the NASDAQ. On the year, let's say the past year, 2022. And then finally, we'll just do one more. 3 years up. Yeah, 1,600. Which is around 36% of the market. So it kind of shows you a little bit more that over longer time frames, it is really concentration, because, you look at the year and you look at 3 years, averages drop from like 58, 60% down to 30 to 17%, right? So over longer time frames, it's really the winners that obviously win, the high quality, fundamentally strong companies that win over the long term. And that they're the ones contributing to the gains because it becomes more concentrated. But if you go to shorter time frames, right, shorter meaning week and month, you've got almost 60%, 2/3 almost of the NASDAQ is actually higher. So that just goes to show that we're in this market where a lot of stocks are moving, they're moving higher, and they're performing well, but not all of them are going to survive, because if you fast forward 3 years from now, it's going to revert back to the mean, where if you look at the NASDAQ, 30% of stocks are going to be higher in 3 years, right? So from now to 3 years from now, looking back, it's only going to be that average. It's not going to be 60%. So, that kind of helps you also better understand like what this market is built up of, what this market really is about. Karthik, overall, listening to the talking heads in TV and YouTube and market is frothy, reminds me 1999 is overvalued, yada yada. Do you think that some major correction or pullback is coming? So, Walt, I would say, as what I've always said, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We know that it's coming, we just don't know when it's going to happen. And so as a result, it's really important for us to recognize the fact that we don't know. As I've mentioned before many times in the past, is the greatest investors know that they don't know, right? So any kind of prediction ends up being useless, because we're never going to be able to predict with any accuracy, at least not consistently. We might be lucky once or twice picking the top or the bottom, but we're not going to be able to do it consistently over time. And so as a result, our edge doesn't come from prediction, it comes from preparation. And so it really comes down to where the risk reward is currently and preparing for that. So if the risk reward is unfavorable, which it is right now in my opinion, I'm not aggressive. In fact, if anything, I'm a little bit more defensive, raising more cash, being more careful, deploying capital. And when we get those opportunities, that's when we can turn the dial back up on our aggressiveness in the market. We can be more sort of we can deploy capital, we can look at those deals, we can look at those discounts, and the risk reward gets better, and we're back at it. So it's really cutting out all the noise and focusing on the signal, and the signal is your money vest index, your volatility, your market breadth, your market technicals, your market valuation, your market breadth, your market momentum, your moving averages. All those are signals, right? All of those things, because you can quantify it. You can actually look at the numbers themselves. the percentiles, and that's really what matters. Everything else is just noise, in my opinion. All right, everyone. So market's going to open in about a few minutes. Very soon. We'll take a quick look at a few more. Kevin, this is the new mean. This is the new meme, bro. This is the new meme. This is not the new mean. No reverting back. Oh, man. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I just want to take a quick look on the S&P 500 as well. So we'll just come over to any, and then we'll come over to the index of S&P 500. So obviously there's 500 companies. A week up, there's half of them. If you come over to the month up, you've got 273. If you go over to the year up, let's say year to date, how many stocks are green? We've got 312. That is a pretty substantial number. So 312 divided by 505, so we got 61%. But then if you come over to 3 years, let's see how much that is. We got 374, even better. 374, that's 74%. Wow. 5 years up, and we got 390. 77%. Yeah, so S&P 500 as an index, again, incredibly strong. 77% of companies are higher. Also because of the fact that it's a lot more diversified, as an index as opposed to the NASDAQ, which is mostly tech and healthcare heavy. And they tend to be a lot more cyclical than anything else. All right, everyone. So let's take a look at the markets here. How are we doing? Tesla's down over 1.3%. Nvidia ready to open at a fresh, brand new all-time high. Pre-market all-time high sits at 193. I would really, really like to see it break about 193 today, possibly getting up to 194, 195. I feel like it's gunning for 200. Market cap 4.6 trillion, but 1.8%. We're going to do a very quick math here. 4.6 multiplied by 1.6%. Or 1.8. So let's see that. 1.8%. We're looking at around 82 billion is what's going to be added to Nvidia's market cap. It's going to be shy of $4.7 trillion. That's where it's going to open today. Yeah. Almost 4.7 trillion. Hope you all are ready. Let's do this. We are good to go as Bitcoin turning back up to 123.5. Ether is back over 4,400. Nvidia is pushing the limits, pushing the boundaries to how high it can go. Make sure that you drop a like, everyone. I would really appreciate that. Yes, we've got almost 500 people watching, but only 90 likes. That ratio is worse than NASDAQ ratios that we just calculated, and even the S&P 500. We can definitely do better than that. So if you've got our MoneyVest 500 right here, 77% should at least be liking, because that's how many stocks are up in the last 5 years. So if you want to be up for the next 5 years, you better like this live stream. But yes, thank you so much for joining, everyone. I'm going to send out all the trade alerts in the Discord. Most likely going to be closing out the iron put. We'll be adding a little bit of BITX. I've been feeling a bit towards Bitcoin. I feel like Bitcoin's really calling to me, that it's ready to break about 126 and really take out 130. And if you look at the overall uptrend for Bitcoin, which we are keeping track of, I mean, we've got upside extended out on this higher high to as much as like 160. That would be a potential target. But again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. And yeah, so BITX, IRIN, a few other trades. I am considering SOXL. I want to restart the SOXL puts, but it's just not given us any opportunity. I mean, yesterday we obviously pushed up 10% the day before. It did drop almost 7%. But I don't think it's going to get down to like the low 30s or mid 20s again for a while. So that's also a potential idea there. Yeah, daily hot buys feature would be a very cool addition to MoneyVest. Karthik needs a new Rolex. Subscribe and pay now. No, absolutely not. I mean, yeah, there's a few different timepieces that I really like, but yeah, not splurging on a Rolex just yet. Gotta build those assets first. Then we have fun. Then we celebrate. Frankie, I bought SOXL in April for $9. That's incredible. Congratulations. I think a lot of us did. But then, of course, I did exit a little bit early as well, just because it was a leverage trade, and I just got to be very careful with leverage. So, I liked twice. Kevin, if you liked twice, then you might have just not liked at all, because once you click on the like and then you just click on it again, it just doesn't like the video. Hope you know that. I know you're pushing 70, but I'm just kidding. But anyway, markets open, everyone. We got Tesla here down almost 2%. Nvidia up over 1.25. We got silver. I haven't seen anybody mention silver, which is a pity because it's now sitting at over $50 per ounce. $50 an ounce for silver. I think it just hit a new all-time high. Yes, silver has officially hit a new all-time high. How has nobody mentioned this? How come nobody in the chat mentioned silver? I like twice too. Great. Everybody's just disliking now. But yeah, silver, brand new all-time high, everyone. Sitting at over $51 per ounce. Absolutely incredible. As gold, of course, sits at over $4,000 per ounce as well. Nvidia just crossed over 193, brand new all-time high. Market cap sits at just under 4.7 trillion, 4.68 as calculated earlier, and yeah, we are at an all-time high for Nvidia, for silver, for S&P 500, for NASDAQ. If you were to make a list of everything that's at an all-time high right now, it'd be a very, very, very long list. But anyway, thank you so much for joining, everyone. Markets are indeed open. Have a great, very, very profitable Thursday, and I'll see you all in the Discord. And again, if you want to join our Discord and be a part of our community, link's going to be down below. We'd love to have you on board. Any questions, email me at admin@moneyvest.com. We do have a 20% discount on an annual basis right now if you're interested in joining, getting access to all the trade alerts, members-only videos, educational content, on Patreon, as well as the MoneyVest website access as well. So once again, any questions, email me, and we look forward to seeing you in there in our Discord. Introduce yourself, get to know the other members. That's really what it's all about, is engagement, learning about different ideas, making money together, supporting each other during bear markets, and celebrating each other's wins during this euphoric, greedy market. So as always, happy investing. I'll see you all in tomorrow's Market Open live stream. And from an economic data standpoint, again, we don't really have much going on. We do have the inflation numbers coming out soon, the Federal Reserve's meeting, and the earnings season starts next week as well. As always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next